Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the SecOps Unpacked interview series. In this episode, we'll focus on the right side of the incident response cycle, the part that most of the, I would say, SOC, they get putting less attention to it. And today I have Emre Tinaztepe with us, the founder and the CEO of Binalyze. Welcome, Emre.
Hi, Filip. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So for today's episode, we will discuss, as I was saying, both incident response, the R cycle, and as well we'll touch base on how AI and automation is reshaping this space, and also why the proactive forensic is becoming, I would say, central to the modern SOC. And as well, Emre will give us a bit more details on how Binalyze is approaching this, and of course his opinion and view on this specific topic. So first I wanted to share on, I would say, a personal story. And when I was watching a demo of Binalyze, it came to my mind the days when I was working at Adobe, and I was doing a lot of incident response there. And that sometimes took like week or even months to do some forensic investigation, the evidence collection, and whole process. And back then we were all the time asking like how we can do this better and faster. We needed to build and stitch all of those small scripts to help us with the stuff. Everyone was using like different tools because they thought that their investigation is faster and better. And, we have that, I would say, thing to compete with each other, like who will find that the needle in the haystack faster and so on. And that's like when I was seeing the demo, it connected directly to Binalyze on how it's building today and how we can do all of these things way faster. So that
what was the solution, Filip?
Yes.
I'm curious. So how did you sort out that problem? Or is it the last, was it at the end of your time at Adobe? So how did they solve it?
No, I mean, I stayed there for 8 years, so I was like through the whole process. So how we solved it? First, we started with basic scripting. I wouldn't say we solved it. It was just we organized it a bit better. So it was an organized way of doing this in-depth investigation, the incident response. So we had a dedicated team. I think when you have a dedicated team, it helps us to be a bit more organized and have procedures on how to do things. But as far as automation, it was like we tried to do some stuff with SOAR, which, as you may know, it's not great at doing like in-depth investigation. It's more like alert triage or just simple response. But yeah, that's how it was. It was, I mean, last time, like 4 years ago when I worked. So probably they have something more advanced that they're doing now.
And what I'm curious, I mean, you'll be the one asking questions, but I'm really curious because this is the story. Most of our top customers come to us for doing this first and then facing similar challenges. And when things got really complex, when they need to deal with the cloud, with disk artifacts, with Windows, macOS, Linux, then they realize it's not a SOC responsibility anymore. Like it's becoming kind of a company inside the SOC. That's when they start searching. Okay, guys, this is getting out of control. So we need to find a solution to this. So did you get to that stage? Because most of the time, what you build there, you use the word stitching. So it really becomes like Frankenstein. You start stitching like scripts and other stuff, that becomes super hard to maintain. So I believe you face the same challenges.
Yes, and that was the main challenge. And while I was there, at least I was not in the process when we were going through the full automation or organizing of the process. So, but yes, it reminded me, like when I was watching your demo, I was like, oh, this is so good. Like I would want this to have it, like if I was holding the same position, which
Glad to hear that.
yeah. But I wanted also like to turn it back to you and ask you like, what was the idea of like founding Binalyze, and to tell us a bit more about yourself and how you started Binalyze.
Sure. So I'm a lifetime learner. That's how I describe myself. Founder and CEO at Binalyze. I've been programming since early childhood. As long as I remember myself, like seeing a computer, I've always been involved in a project. It started mostly with web development, QBasic first, and then Perl, PHP, Java, and then C, MASM, Microsoft Assembler.
Yes.
So I don't remember like being away from computers for more than a month at least. And it was always some project. So there was always a zip file, project.zip. Like we used to have
Yes.
before the version control got popular. We always like saved them as like zip files. So, anyways, and then I got intrigued by the computer viruses. So the idea of having something that can autonomously do stuff, and I was really curious. And around the end of my time at military academy, so 2006, I googled how to write computer viruses, and I found the book. Which was named, I guess, the Black Book of Computer Viruses. It took me a day because I was so intrigued by the topic. And then I kept searching. I found another book from the same author, and it's the Giant Black Book of Computer Viruses. And I started experimenting with them. Those days, I didn't have VMware. I didn't know that virtualization existed. So I was just developing stuff on my machine and testing them, and also writing detection stuff. So that's how I got the chance to see the power of these creatures, let's say. And then I started playing with security products. I found an exploit in one of the products, and then got an offer from that company. And then I became a shareholder of that company after working there for 3 years. And so the last 15 years I spent all about learning, teaching, investigation, response, malware analysis, reverse engineering. I also had a chance to teach at the university for 2 years. And the idea of Binalyze came while I was reverse engineering a rootkit named TDL4. That was at that time called Indestructible Botnet. It was so advanced, and it was making fun of us. So when you were WinDBG while debugging the rootkit, it was outputting like debug strings from what was the name of that movie? Star Trek.
Yes.
So it was outputting quotes from Star Trek. So it was so confident. Whoever wrote that like malware, he was so confident. That team was so confident that they was making fun of us because they knew that it was extremely hard to detect. And that was the moment I started to think about there's something wrong here. I mean, this is a cat and mouse game. So they are developing computer viruses, they are developing detections, and things are going deeper and deeper into the operating system. At that time, this was using SCSI hooks. It was very deep into the file system driver.
Mhm.
And it was hooking stuff, so even antiviruses wasn't able to scan because they didn't know it existed there. It was basically replacing the MBR. So when you scan it with an antivirus, you were scanning a clean MBR, which wasn't actually the case. It was infected.
Yes.
Anyways, that was the moment I started to not give up, but started to think about there's something seriously wrong here. And then I watched a video, which is from Harvard Medical School. And in that video, the name of the video is The Evolution of Bacteria. And it was like very obvious, like whatever you do, there will be a breach. If not from the outside, from inside. It's the evolution. It's the rule of the nature. So it's basically how we evolve, how we increase the security posture of our companies. That's how things got really interesting. And I started the company. So the initial idea was solving the problems we were facing on the field, similar to what you described. Each and every time, thanks to our advisors. I was working with our advisors from New York Police Department. And each and every time, on every case almost, we were required to wait for more than sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I've seen, unfortunately, the toolkits were developed for cases that was there 20 years ago. And the idea was getting a disk image, parsing it, getting the visibility with one investigator, one case, one computer, so one workstation. So everything else 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. So there wasn't one to many. And that's when we started, this needs to change. It's not doable anymore. So that's how things started. And then having experience in my previous company and knowing the startup world, we were very experienced when it comes to listening to customer feedback, iterating, releasing to the market, like releasing a product to the market without having those commercial concerns. So we quickly released the product to the market in 6 months. It was a dongle version. Actually, I still have it as a memory here. This is the one.
Oh, nice.
So we were shipping this worldwide. And the first feedback, I guess, we received from Deloitte Denmark. And he provided a list, like, I really like the product. If you do these, then we can use it like globally. And then it started to get traction. And then quickly enterprises started to send emails. Like, we really like the product. Can we run this remotely? Can we run it with our SOAR, CM? So the similar pains you were describing. And Binalyze is a big believer. Like, our team is a big believer in the quote, make a great product and the growth happens. So everything starts with a great product that solves a pain. I guess Y Combinator's article was the first time I read it. Don't make vitamins, painkillers. So Binalyze is a painkiller in that sense. And then here we are, so more than 1,000 customers now, getting
Nice.
close to our 8 years. Yeah, so
That
that's how we started.
that's impressive, you know. And what I really like that you're like really in-depth technical, so you're understanding the field really good, you know, like as practitioner, what problems needed to be solved, and like you took the step, like, okay, you'll build a tool and a company that will solve this specific problem. So that's really cool. By
Well,
the way,
I think
go
the biggest advantage, Philip, and I think that makes me the proudest, is having a team. I don't think I would ever be in a team as strong as Binalyze. It's a dream team. That's how we call our team. Everyone is so dedicated. Everyone is standing behind the product uh, like a mountain, and so it's been a like great team effort. So more than 100 people contributed to where we are, like our success so far.
It's nice. Oh, that's really cool. Also, I wanted to mention about the you were showing the USB dongle. I remember back in the days when we had this. It was one of the first solutions I think that were doing POC and stuff, and it was the same. Yes, you need to have this USB dongle deployed, and you need to have person in each location so you can have it, you know, whenever you need it.
Were you also sending like flying a person on site,
We
like some
had
of our customers?
Yes, we had a case. Actually, it was one case that I was working, and I couldn't get visa so fast, so we found a colleague that could travel, and she was like sending it the next day and just do the investigation there. So
Exactly. I mean, the best case, we were asking our customer to go to Target, grab a hard drive, and attach it to that machine, provide us, because there are sometimes there were like multiple cases at the same time.
yes,
And it's impossible. Like, when you have a 7-8 people team, it's impossible to like send them all at once because someone needs to be
yes,
at the lab. So we were asking them to go to Target, grab a hard drive, attach it, and then give us access over TeamViewer so we can remotely image the machines. So those were the problems we were trying to solve, and that's when we started. Okay, we need to solve this.
that's pretty cool. And just for the audience now, as we're getting more in depth on the topic, wanted to share here like where Binalyze is standing, I would say, on the AI SOC shift map here. So how I'm seeing there are like three areas. So we have on the left side is all the data ingestion, log processing, data engineering. Then in the middle is the enrichment, triage, and investigation. And on the right side, it's more when we go to response, remediation, and the feedback loop. And I would say usually once you get a confirmed incident, you move to the response phase and you move back then to investigation, back and forth until you figure out and contain the situation completely. And I think what's important to highlight here on the right side is I visualize this as well. There's like not many vendors that are trying to approach, and I think this is where Binal is how I'm seeing it as researcher also in the field where it stands, and it's quite strong in this area. So yes, that brings me to my next question. From what I've seen in the field and when I was doing also a lot of IR, one of the challenges that we have seen is that usually you have different environments. And I would say especially when you're a large enterprise, you will rarely see, okay, it's just one operating system. Of course, you will have probably the majority. There'll be just one operating. There'll be like, I don't know, Windows or macOS shop for endpoints, but then you'll have like full Linux or some Windows on the server side.
Mhm.
So I was curious, yes, where do you stand here on the like operating system coverage? You know, it's quite challenging, and we were never like back in my day we couldn't say, oh, we are the I don't know, really strong on anything. We would say, oh yes, we are like Windows shop, and we have like analysts that are good at Windows and toolset, but we would be really bad at macOS and so on.
Exactly.
So yes,
Especially macOS, like it's it's an opaque operating system. There is not that many documentation when it comes to researchers also.
Yes.
So that's something we are paying a lot of attention. Windows, it's been around, like especially the researching side, reverse engineering side, has been around for quite many years, more than 2 decades, as far as
Yes.
I can remember from my career. But the other operating systems was the challenging part. When we started the company, we already had 10 plus years of R&D, like including the code,
Hmm.
from a product that was running on like 10 million assets in the North US. So we already had like a battle tested methodology for extracting evidence, using it. And I was one of the shareholders of that company. I sold my shares and then the company was acquired. And so we already had that knowledge. And the rest of the time we spent on Linux, Windows, and disk images, and also cloud. So Binalyze here is, it wouldn't be wrong to say it's the only platform on the market that provides visibility, like extensive, deep system level visibility from all operating systems, all main system operating systems, including Chromos, by the way, Chromebooks. So Windows, Linux, macOS, Chromebook, IBM AIX, and also ESXi, VMware ESXi, plus Office 365, Google, Google Suite, and also disk images like E01s, DD images, and etc. So that's why when people compare, like when we started, we were always being compared against EDRs. Are you an EDR? Are you an XDR? And I was telling them this is much more complex than building an EDR, because building an EDR, I've done both. So I've developed both products. My previous product was an endpoint security monitoring solution. And there are specific APIs, there are specific kernel callbacks. Previously, we were hooking them, and then Windows introduced what was the name? Patch card,
Yes.
which was like basically giving you a blue screen right away if you modify, touch some sensitive areas. And they provided us object callbacks, and for Windows event logs as well. There are some like well documented stuff.
Hmm.
And when you tap into these areas, it's not that hard to collect that visibility. And there are some backend related challenges when collecting that evidence, like presenting that, etc. But developing a forensic based visibility product is much harder for the reasons you have shared now. Multiple operating systems, each operating system has tons of artifacts. Like as an example, the last time I checked Windows, autorun locations, there were 350 locations I've seen on a single machine. So it's very complex. And that's why I say, developing such a product, you should be motivated by something else, not the commercial side. I mean, we are very fortunate because we have a very persistent team, and now the product is running for more than 1,000 customers worldwide, including really household names like companies that you carry around with you when you walk around, like really big
Yes.
brands. But if we focused on the commercial side, especially in the first 5 years, when people were asking, "Are you an EDR? Are you CM? Are you SOAR? Are you this? Are you that?" and you were saying, "We are none of them." Are you monitoring? Like, are you collecting? We do collecting, but we don't do monitoring. So it was very hard for them. And the way I describe this is that Superman scene. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, they say. So until the moment they see, I'm not saying like Binalyze is the solution to like everything, but it's really like that scene. So until the moment they see, okay, this is what you do. So when we integrate you with our SOC, we don't have any blind spots now. And again, it's a dedicated team. So for all of those operating systems, we have dedicated teams constantly researching. Uh, Collection is a team. Investigation part is a team. Response part is a team. Investigation hub is a team. And I think that's what makes Binalyze different, because it's a research company. It's an engineering heavy culture.
I see. And I think that that's also key to the success, especially when you're developing product that it relies heavily on research data, and you need context to make your product better. Yes, research I think is key, and I really like also how you structure it. Like you have different areas, not just one broad. Oh, we'll do all the research for everything Binalyze does, but you have dedicated teams for it. Like how you're explaining and what you're telling me for the product, it makes me go back to incident response and doing forensics just to use some of the products that the product like Binalyze that you developed today, and it sounds really cool.
Because finally you can. I mean, when we started, I was doing the same. I was running. The last time I counted, I remember there were more than 30, 35 scripts and utilities. I was remotely executing, and they were creating like CSV files, TXT files, and I even created a wrapper around recall. It was a better version of volatility at that time. It was a memory investigation framework written in Python, I guess. So I wrote a wrapper. So I was feeding the RAM image into that wrapper. It was basically a like window-based application, but running recall in the background. And I even added a chime, like a bell sound, after it finishes, like after like processing the disk image, sorry, a RAM image for 3-4 hours. I was falling asleep, but it was so hard, like dealing all of those investigations, looking at you're consuming all the glucose in your brain, and
Yes.
you fall asleep, and it was like ringing when it finished. So that's when we started. Like, okay, we need to change this.
Great. And this also leads me to the next question is usually I want to see also how automation is used within specific platforms. So I wanted to ask you how you use automation with Binalyze. Is it basically I would say baked in as core capability, or it's mainly around integrations that you're building? Just wanted to give a bit more details on that and your approach overall.
Sure. So we are very bullish on that, and it's not because of this recent shift in the AI and workflow building space. It's been at the core of Binalyze since we started. In our previous company, again, we have our cultural roots from that company. If you can automate it, automate it. That's been the slogan. That was written everywhere. If you can automate it, automate it. Automate it with capital
I like
letters.
that.
So it's been a culture. We don't want to see anything that is manually done. And this goes back to one of our co-founders who had ADHD, like severe ADHD, and he internalized it in such a way that he didn't do anything twice. And he trained all of us to do everything in an automated fashion because you do it once and you just let the machines do. And the philosophy was we should be building products that run 24/7 globally while we're sleeping. So now today, the product is already even a single line of code change on our product runs thousands of tests in the background. This includes unit tests, smoke tests, end-to-end tests. And it's not only the product, it's also everyone at Binalyze has an N8N account. Everyone at Binalyze has a Zapier account. So they have access to all of these tools, not because they're popular now. It's been the case for quite many years now. We have programming sessions in the company. So every Thursday, I'm also joining those meetings. We are building workflows. I think the person I would least expect talking about automation was our VP people, Megan. She is building workflows and she is like solving problems by integrating workflows with Bamboo HR, feeding information, running onboarding processes and like tasks. So it's a core part of the culture. And when you have core part of the culture built on top of automation, it's naturally reflected into the product.
Nice. So I really like that, and I think that's the way to go. Be myself also big fan of automation and trying yes the same. If something repeats for a few times, yes, I try to find a way to automate because we have the tools now. It doesn't make sense to do it manually, and I think that's how you can see then if it's part of the culture of the company, then you can see it in the product as well on how well it's baked and integrated.
Exactly. We even have AI day now. So you're free to do whatever workflow you need and share it with your colleagues. So it's really endorsed in the company.
That's so great. Um, and my next question, it's more on the this whole, I would say, AI agents approach in the future on how AI is, I would say, changing or shaping the cybersecurity domain. I wanted to hear from you what's your view on the whole like agentic stuff. And I think it's tied also to probably some of the stuff that you mentioned for automation, but overall how you see, I would say, the incident response piece evolving or changing because of the AI, and what you think it will be biggest impact.
Mhm. So to be honest, I was scared when this thing started for the first time after 8 years. I was quite concerned. I cannot say scared, like concerned, because since we started, I know how hard it is to build a product like Air in-house. Like you can stitch some stuff around. There are some open source alternatives that are doing a specific part of the product, our product. But when you stitch it, it doesn't become enterprise ready. So it's still a stitch product. It's like a Frankenstein. That's how I describe it. And we've been very bullish on the quality of the product, on the strength of the product. And since we started, we were always like, let them do. And we were publicly sharing our roadmap, what's going to be next. I was sharing, and I've been still sharing what's upcoming next, because we really believe in that striking effect. I think it was Napoleon who popularized it. Like it's being fast. I guess the slogan was activite, activite, vitesse. So it's like always moving fast and using it as a force multiplier. And the way I describe this is a bullet and the and the bowling ball. They are like very different in mass, right? So
Yes.
bowling ball is like much bigger and bullet is much smaller. But when you throw it much faster, then you can create much bigger harm, much bigger impact compared to the bowling ball.
Yes.
So that's why we were really bold on it, and that's, I guess, the reason we received more than 10 M&A requests so far in the last 8 years. So 10 companies, and these are mostly EDRs and EDR, XDR, and traditional forensic companies, let's say, like that has been around for more than 15, 20 years. And we said no to all of them because this is not even 50% of the roadmap. So what we have built so far is just the 50% of the roadmap. And I really see this as a layer. So this is the middle layer now. I was describing this as the base layer, but now we put it into middle because with every release, we are increasing the depth of the evidence from all these operating systems, clouds, disk images, SaaS applications, business applications. And on top of that, now there is AI. So previously, we were seeing it as an IO layer into your enterprise, input-output layer. You can ask questions. And the way I described this to our team was, it's like a crystal ball. So imagine Air will be the crystal ball for enterprises and MSSPs. So whatever question you ask, you'll be able to get the answer immediately in real time. This was the dream. This has been the dream. And sometimes I describe it as James Webb Telescope. You have so vast visibility that it still amazes me. Like we are able to identify a water molecule in a planet that we will never touch in our lifetimes. It's crazy because you have that visibility. So previously, we were discovering planets because they were huge, but now we're able to discover a water molecule. So that's the dream. That's the dream. And the way we position Air now is AI will be using our products as an operator next to investigators, next to SOC analysts. So augmenting what they do and allowing them to ask questions and get answers and take action. So it's among the very few products that supports all those operating systems and covers all investigation like IR lifecycle. And I recently read, I guess it was Reza's post in LinkedIn. It says every SOC is an IR in motion.
Yes.
I really believe it. So every SOC is an IR in motion. So and the dream is every company, all mature companies, like whatever company is taking cybersecurity seriously, will need our product.
I see. No,
So the way we position it is like it's a data layer and actionability layer.
Yes, and I mean that's really great, and also, it's really exciting to see, that you have built product that it's already so great, and you see it is just, half of what are your plans of building it, and it can get even much better. And I completely agree.
Maybe I can share the remaining half.
I would like
I
to
can also
see
share
it now.
the remaining half.
I need to set up a demo to check out that.
I mean, the idea is basically using that visibility to introduce new use cases that wasn't possible before. Because before we introduced our product and made it this mature, you were required to spend, as you described, weeks to get the visibility. And then you get an answer. Oh, okay, so this person was actually an insider. We didn't know. He's been with us for like years. and now he exploited data. So these type of cases were requiring you to process a disk image for months and then expand the investigation scope and then get an answer. But now you can do this automatically. You can do this on a scheduled basis. You can do this remotely. And especially when you add AI into this equation, then things become much faster. But there's a catch there, and it is garbage in, garbage out. So you need to be very careful when it comes to collecting and parsing the evidence and feeding it into the AI so that you have valid results. That's why we are not focused on that end, the last part of the stage, which is the report generation. We are focusing on the pain initially. And the pain is, am I affected by this? So, as you know, every day we are reading another breach, another exploitation, another supply chain attack, and customers are asking, am I affected by this? So you need to be writing a rule. You need to be assigning it to specific assets that may be a target of that specific exploit type. And if confirmed, then you need to move forward. So all of these processes are a perfect fit for AI plus our product here.
So I like your thought process and approach here. And to what you were saying earlier, also, that's how I'm seeing with the IR. Actually, most of the frameworks that I've incident response plan, because that's also the easiest way, because I've been practitioner also like yourself for so long. I want to see specific stages, because that's, I think, how we have the, let's say, investigation. If you have a really good plan, and I think the IR process, yes, in motion, it's what is driving the SOC. I mean, you need to have IR process on every alert that you're running, because that's the way that you can get the best results out of it.
I'm a big fan of your posts. I don't call them posts because I really see you're distilling your mind on paper. And the way we think is, I guess, quite similar because I'm also a sketching person.
Yes.
I've been running around with whiteboards since military days. It's the best, easiest way for me to describe my thoughts. So whenever I read your blog posts, I always see some sketch that summarizes all the content. That's why I've been a big fan of your posts.
Thank you. Happy to hear that. And yes, also now brings me to the last question. I know that we can stay here and probably talk for hours and discuss incident response in details. So my last question for today that I have is, if someone is, I would say, start building a SOC from scratch today, or they with whole this AI thing, they're thinking, okay, maybe it's time to transform and change on how we are doing, how we are running the process in our SOC, and to redesign it. What would be your advice for someone, yes, in this position, they're starting a SOC or they want to redesign the SOC, that you can give them, like, where they should start, what they should look overall? If yes, I know that I think whole this episode probably it's a good summary on what they should do, but yes, if you have like one major advice to give.
I think I can give a nostalgic answer to this. I guess it was Nasruddin who wrote this, know thy organization. This is actually a quote that was written on Apollo's temple 2000 years ago. No, not thy organization, but it says know thyself. This was the first one. And then the second one, as far as I remember, nothing too much. Third one, give the pledge, and the trouble at the door, something like that. So three words. I think the first thing I would suggest is know thy organization. So you should know your organization. How do you name your assets? What is the convention? Where are they located? What are your baselines? What is normal? What is not normal? I think this is 80% of SOC should be around knowing your organization. And the last 20% is taking action, which is based on visibility and taking action. So the first thing I would say is just map your assets, understand what it means when you see a name. Because most of the time, when I join investigations, I see localhost as the asset name. And what is localhost as the asset name? So what am I supposed to do now? Who's this machine? Like, who's this guy? So I think that's the most important part. And then investing into visibility and response capabilities is the second most important.
Great advices. I really like them. I think as the visibility, it's quite a key. It's been in every organization that I have been. It's like that's where it starts. If you don't know what you're dealing with, then it's way harder just
Which
to make
is the
sense.
case 90% of the time.
Exactly, yes. So exactly. Oh, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed a lot our discussion being quite insightful. And just for the audience
Same
to
here.
summarize some of the things, so I would say how I see the things is also like, and what I learned from you, Emre, today, it was like forensic and response. It's, I would say, is where the visibility turns into action, and you need to have enough context and visibility so you can become proactive rather than reactive.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And I guess DFIR, like the R roots are from DFIR, and I guess it should change now, IRDF, because digital forensics is always the latest part. So every day, SOCs need this visibility every day. Otherwise, you cannot operate. I really see this as fighting blind. So unless you're a kung fu master,
Yes.
you cannot like fight your eyes blind. And this is the case for most of the SOCs. So that's why it reminded me of a CISO. So he told me, Emre, I'm gonna buy the product. I don't know what it does, but I'm really tired of my team knocking my door every quarter. We need this product. We need this product. We need this product. So, and that's because they were blind. So you need to be having that visibility every day. Otherwise, you don't know what to do, how to act, where to go. It's just being blind. And I think it's time to embrace what you said, like proactive assessments, proactive. And the way I describe this is like watchtowers. So in military, we protect the bases with watchtowers. They're always there. And we send privates there with shifts. But you need to have a patrol car. Like you need to be checking those watchtowers. And I guess there's even a saying in Latin for this: who watches the watchman? Watch
Yes.
cars. So you need to be patrolling those watchtowers. I think the shift is moving towards this mindset, and we need to like finally embrace this. We need to be proactively assessing our assets rather than waiting for someone to get inside and trigger us.
These are great advices, right? I think that they're really on point, and for the audience as well. It's just, and you don't need anything. Like, you just start where Emre was saying is like it's key, and I agree with you. Yes, we should start. Probably the term makes way more sense if you change it to IRDF. So because
There was a new term like dare something which made sense, but IRDF is hard to say, and you know it doesn't stick
yes,
when it's hard to say. So we need to find some better like abbreviation for that.
yes, definitely. Okay then. Yeah. So thanks again, Emre, for joining this episode. It was quite insightful. Hope yes that in the future maybe we can do a follow up and go more in depth in some of the I would say investigation and forensics, or maybe go through some specific use cases.
I would love to. Let's make a 6-hour long one because there's a lot to talk with you. So I would
Yes.
love to.
Thank you. And for the audience, thanks for listening this episode. And I hope that you enjoyed, that you find it quite insightful. And of course, stay tuned for